Yo, what's up? It's Dougie Shaw, the bike fitter here, and welcome to your first look and hands-on of Lake's brand new MXZ21. Definitely get subscribed to be among the first to see the full review when it comes out, but this is just my first impressions for now. I first saw this boot around springtime when Richard from Lake came to the shop and took me aside, opened up his bag and pulled out this rather interesting looking winter boot that's definitely very different to the look of the MX146 shoe that Lake have been running for some time now. And let's just start with an ultra short summary. It's got a brand new lacing system and it's the only Lake winter boot right now with a full carbon sole. And actually, in my opinion, the best thing about this new boot is the use of the competition last that features a slightly narrower heel cup and a slightly wider forefoot compared to the previous generations. Putting your foot inside this thing, finally, I don't feel like I'm putting on this Wellington boot. I feel like I'm putting on a shoe that I could go for quite nice. I want to say I could use this boot on the road and actually feels a lot more like an actual shoe than a boot. And this is a lot to do with a lot of the new features that the shoe has on it, notably the closure system being different with the BOA system being removed, and also the use of almost this neoprene style material around the ankle cuff, which not only helps with insulation, but also allows for the articulation of the ankle so my shin can go in front of my foot. And actually, it might not sound like much, but when you put this shoe on your foot, clip it into a pedal and start to ride your bike, one of the things you really notice is that the ankle can just move so much more freely than it can in any other winter style boot. Now, I still know I'm wearing a boot, but I'm not battling against this bulky feeling sensation. But the main thing that's going to be catching people's eye on this boot is the lacing system. Now, the lacing system crisscrosses from just at the base of the toes all the way up to the cuff of the ankle, and it kind of leaves this drawstring style pulling system to tighten up the shoe. And at first I was dubious about whether this closure system is going to be retaining my foot comfortably inside the boot, but I can happily report that especially when I use my own custom insoles, which generally I recommend for most boots because the volume inside the shoes is much higher, and instead of my foot swimming around inside there, I want my foot to feel like it's engaged with the shoe as one and at one with the bike. I feel that the lacing system actually was quite satisfactory. The control that I was able to get in terms of getting my boot tight around my foot and ankle to be quite satisfactory. And I feel that the limitations that I was worried about with respect to tightening up that closure system are not going to become a problem when I'm riding the bike on an ongoing basis with these boots on. So really what's better about this boot in terms of what I actually notice is when I put my foot inside this boot, finally my ankle feels actually retained because the heel cup's nice and tight, and my feet feel like they can fully relax inside the shoe because of the extra width given by this competition last. I finally feel that rather than the insulation crushing my foot, I feel like my foot can move freely, a lot more like a winter version of a summer shoe in terms of comfort than a heavy duty, hard to deal with boot. And materially as well, this boot is actually lighter. The carbon sole, the lack of the BOA, and slightly less microfiber material on this boot kind of add up to this weight saving of approximately 50 grams compared to a Lake MX146 coming in at approximately 550 grams. This one comes in just about 500, and that's 100 grams per pair. It's quite a decent weight saving, and certainly one of the biggest issues that I've felt with winter boots as the years have gone by that I've ridden, I would say I feel like usually when I'm riding this big, bulky boot underneath, my foot doesn't feel quite as in tune with the bike, and my pedaling doesn't quite feel as nice as when I have my road shoes on. So typically I've resisted and resisted and resisted changing over to them until the very worst of the winter, and then maybe a couple of rides go by and I'm already thinking about switching back, and I just wear out overshoes because I just use them so much. And I feel I'm going to feel differently about this boot than I have felt about other boots in the past. One of the smaller iterative changes the boot features is the injection molding of the lug. So the shape all being the same, the central section of the lug has just got this injection molding, more resinous almost style, rubberized grip in it. Irrespective of what it is, it feels a lot more stiff and harder wearing. So the actual sole of the shoe is probably going to last just a little bit longer than, you know, years gone by. But it doesn't seem like it's a complete game changer in terms of the grip I would notice if I was walking around with these shoes on soft ground. As always with Lake boots, the build quality seems really high, and at this price point of £250 in the UK market, the quality of the stitching, attaching the microfiber to the neoprene material, and the anchoring of the lacing system seems to be quite robust. So I'm not worried that I'm going to accidentally tighten these shoes too tight, or perhaps overly yank on the ankle hook to pull the shoe onto my ankle and feel like I'm going to break something that I shouldn't just by pulling a little bit too hard. So I'm quite satisfied with how they feel. So I've tested out these boots on one very short ride just now, and over the next couple of weeks I'm going to be filming and testing these boots to give you my full technical review, which I plan to be releasing in November, just in time for the weather turning, getting a little bit nasty, especially here in the UK when we're used to nothing but rain and drizzle and temperatures in the low to mid 10s, sadly. And yeah, it's going to be like that probably until late February. And yeah, that wraps up this initial impression of the Lake MXZ21. And thanks very much for watching. I've been Dougie Shaw, the bike fitter, and see you on the next video.